Hey yo, it's Hip Hop DJ Eternal 88. What's going on, y'all? So the Joe and Jada podcast has been going viral, right? Now it's not going viral because of their good chemistry, because it's not very good chemistry. You got two totally different people, if you ask me, Fat Joe and Jada Kiss, right? But Fat Joe has been sparking all types of drama. First, he said he was a glizzy eater, a real, like that's what he said. He was a glizzy eater. Like he really said that. Then he sparked something with Snoop Dogg by saying that Kendrick Lamar surpassed Snoop and Tupac. Snoop checked him and said, if he does anything outside of music, then maybe. But you're not even from the West Coast. Now he's going at Joe Budden. He's going at Joe Budden, y'all. He said that, so y'all remember this viral clip, right? So Fat Joe said he would never sit in the second row in an NBA game. He has to be on the floor. Reason being is, said if you run into an enemy and your enemy's sitting in front of you, it just kind of makes you look bad or whatever. So he can't do it. He said we call them the Joe Budden seats. Clowning Joe Budden for sitting behind 50 Cent. But even Jadakiss says, like, if you know anything about NBA floor seats, the ones right in the second row are basically floor seats as well, right? So this is what he had to say. Check this out, y'all.
Bro, I gotta be front row.
So you want all the
Cause somebody you don't like, your enemy, gonna come sit right at, you know, we call that the Joe Budden seats. You know, them second row.
I don't even got
You
a
ain't
hood.
got a hoodie?
I don't even got a hood.
Yo, listen, them second, third row, I can't do it. I gotta sit front row. I'll give you my experience.
What do you call them seats?
The Joe Budden seats. Them shit second row. You know, perfect example. Him and 50 got some shit, and I'm sitting courtside. If 50
He
comes
was
sit.
right behind y'all.
Okay, but he's behind us.
Those were still considered floor seats.
Those
if you
are
know
they?
anything.
Listen,
I didn't know that.
It's AA and BB.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the man had a little something going on with 50, and why God put 50 Cent front row, and he's in like third row. Like, that would bother me if I was Joe Budden's. It happened to me before. When we
Now,
just
listen,
squashed
if he didn't bump in the fifth, would he had a nice experience?
you got a good seat, but the problem is you got to always expect the enemy might come front row.
Yo, what is
But Joe Budden responds. And Joe Budden's response, he always got a good response. But this was smart. I'm not going to lie. One thing I will say about Fat Joe doing this, he knew that he could gain traction by calling out Joe Budden. Joe Budden is probably the biggest hip hop platform out there, period. Like, I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure he is the biggest hip hop like podcast. Like, Joe Budden took podcasting to a whole nother level, especially for people from the hip hop genre, right? So you're clowning Joe Budden, but he had beef with 50 too, and he's sitting right beside 50. He said it happened to him before, though. He was sitting behind 50 Cent in the show when their beef was actually going on, and he was like, you know, he just could never let that happen again. Him and 50 are cool now, obviously, but, you know, I don't think Joe and 50's beef was that serious. 50 was just posting, you know, pictures of Joe, because Joe got caught sleepwalking or whatever. So he was posting pictures of him like that. And then Joe Budden said that 50 needs counseling, so then 50 went even harder on Joe. And he was just clowning him. It wasn't that deep. But this is Joe's response.
For me, in my 40s, it's been really important to unlearn stupid hip-hop ideology. We're talking about a game where the tickets were the most expensive Knicks playoff tickets in franchise history. The internet is not like a real place. I would expect Fat Joe to know that. If I'm at the Knicks game, it's just because I'm a Knicks fan. I'm not there for the vanity play. I'm not there for the celeb role. I'm not there to be seen. I'm not in the record label seats. I'm not in the Kith seats. I'm not in the comp seats. I'm in the seat that I wanted to purchase. So I bought it. I'm not out here running around moving with the leverage of my management company or trying to be buddy or friendly with rappers that I'm not really buddy or friendly with. I'm the walking embodiment of standing on my own too. And you know that, which is why you're using my name on your newly established platform trying to get traction because I'm the best in the biz. I recognize that too. Lastly, I just don't know what Joe Budden seats mean, and because I have so much relationship equity with Fat Joe, I'll wait for him to tell me. I don't want to assume. On one hand, where I come from, you would want to be seated behind your enemy, if anything. Wouldn't want to be seated in front of him. So, if he was talking about that, I don't really get it, but that's on him. Maybe Joe Budden seats just means sitting behind somebody you make a lot more than. Until we get clarity on it, we won't really know. But be clear, reimagine how y'all mention my name in some of these conversations. I make a lot more than you. So, if I'm seated behind you, it's by choice.
I like Joe Budden's response. I think it's funny as hell. You know what I mean? He's basically said he got money than all of them, more money than all of them. And to be honest, I believe him. I'm not going to pocket watch and count who's getting more money. I see videos of like going on about that kind of stuff. I don't really care, but I'm sure Joe Budden is making a lot of money. He has a beautiful woman, great career. He's an icon. He's created this lane for hip hop podcasts. Fat Joe should respect Joe Budden, to be honest, especially when you're coming into the podcasting lane. Like, Fat Joe also said after he did his first podcast, he said, why am I not getting, said to Jadakiss, why aren't we getting flowers and like all kinds of stuff? Welcome to the podcasting world and congratulations and all this. After one podcast, what made you think that was even a thing? You know what I'm saying? I just don't really get it. Him doing this, though, is what's going to keep him in rotation. And also him saying people that never had an album or never rapped they're not qualified to speak on hip hop. I thought that was like one of the wackest things you could ever say. Because not even a couple minutes later, then he's saying about basketball and stuff and sports, talking about sports. You never played sports. You were never a professional athlete and nothing like that. So it's just like contradiction. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like when you go with this approach of starting like drama right away to get your podcast going, I just feel like that's not going to be like a longevity thing. This is more like a bag for them, I guess. You know what I mean? I can't see Jadakiss doing this shit forever with Fat Joe. It's kind of weird. I would have rather seen, I think I said this in my last video, but I would have rather seen Jadakiss, Styles, and Sheik Luch. I would have rather seen the Locks. You know what I mean? For sure, for sure. But what y'all think about Joe Budden's response? You think Joe handled it right? I think Joe Budden handled it the best as he possibly could. As humble as he could, too. Even though he said he made a lot more money than him, he could have been real disrespectful, and he wasn't. He even shouted out Jadakiss. He had no issues with Jadakiss. But you could kind of tell, for whatever reason, there's some kind of friction there between Fat Joe and Joe Budden. Let me know what y'all think about this whole shit in the comment section. Please leave comments, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. We out, y'all.